Finn's face trembled as he scrolled through the blog his wife had written on the screen. His eyes were red and tears had started falling down his cheeks. How had he never seen this before? He wished that he could confront his wife, but she was no longer there to provide any answers. His mind was absolutely reeling with questions, and there was no one around to talk to about this. The discovery of the writing on her computer left him in utter disbelief. Finn sat in front of his computer, his heart racing with fear and disbelief. He had stumbled upon something that would change his life forever. His wife, Angela, had passed away after giving birth to their daughter, Penelope. But what he found on her computer would leave him questioning everything he thought he knew. Angela was the love of Finn's life. They had met in college and had been inseparable ever since. When they found out they were expecting a baby, their happiness knew no bounds. They were overjoyed to welcome Penelope into their lives. Finn never could have imagined that their happiness would soon turn into a nightmare. As soon as Angela gave birth to Penelope, she disappeared. Finn was left to raise their daughter alone, with no explanation from his wife. He searched everywhere for her, but she was nowhere to be found. Maybe in a bout of postpartum depression, his wife left the hospital and abandoned her new child and husband. His heart was broken, and he desperately wanted to find out what had actually happened to her. There was something about Angela's disappearance that Finn found it impossible to let go of. There was a constant search that he had to do through her things, hoping to find some clue or explanation in her possession. As he was browsing through her computer, he discovered something shocking that shocked him to the core. Angela had always been very protective of her computer. She had a strong password that Finn could never seem to guess, but after her disappearance he was determined to find out what she was hiding. After countless attempts, he was finally able to crack the code after trying countless combinations. Finn's hands trembled as he scrolled through the files on Angela's computer. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. He could not believe that the woman he loved and trusted, the woman he trusted, was living a double life. It all began with a simple email that was sent to a friend. Finn's curiosity got the best of him and he opened the email. It was from a man named James congratulating Angela on the birth of their child. In realizing that Angela had been involved in an affair, Finn's heart sank as he read on and realized what had happened to her. Finn clicked on a video file and watched in horror as Angela and James declared their love for each other. It was clear that they had been having an affair for quite some time. Finn couldn't believe his eyes. Could Angela have done this to him and her daughter in such a cruel way? As Finn continued to dig through Angela's files, he discovered that she had been living a secret life for years. She had been meeting up with James behind his back, going on extravagant trips and spending large amounts of money. It was hard for Finn to believe how naive he had been to begin with. Finn had all the evidence he needed to confront Angela. But now she was gone and he would never get the closure he wanted. He couldn't understand why she would leave him and their daughter for another man. Despite his best efforts, he was unable to overcome the pain and betrayal he had experienced. It wasn't that he wanted to tarnish Angela's memory, but he also did not want to stifle her lies in order to protect her memory. He struggled with the burden of keeping this secret to himself. As the days went by, Finn's obsession with finding out the truth consumed him. He started neglecting his job and spending all of his time trying to uncover more about Angela's secret life. No matter what the cost would be, he was determined to get to the bottom of the matter. Finn's digging led him to discover something even more disturbing. Angela had been involved in illegal activities, including money laundering and fraud. Finn couldn't believe what he was reading. What kind of woman would do such a thing to the man he loved? What kind of woman could do such a thing? One day, as Finn was out running errands, he received a surprising visit. It was James, the man who had been having an affair with Angela. As Finn's mind raced with the possibilities of the possible explanation for the disappearance of his sister, he claimed to have information about it. James offered to tell Finn everything he knew about Angela's secret life and her disappearance. Consequently, he asked Finn to assist him in exiting the country in exchange for helping him. He explained that he was involved in illegal activities with Angela and they were now being investigated as a result. Finn was shocked to learn of the revelations and was not sure what to do in the wake of them. He wanted justice for Angela's lies and betrayal, but he also didn't want to get involved in any illegal activities. His desire for revenge was torn between his sense of moral responsibility and his desire for revenge. Finn decided to go along with James' plan in order to uncover the truth about Angela. They would flee the country together, but Finn had a secret plan of his own. As soon as he had this opportunity, he would confront James so that he could get closure about the situation. As they made their way to the airport, Finn confronted James about his affair with Angela. Things quickly escalated and a fight broke out between them. Finn became enraged and grabbed a nearby object in an attempt to strike James in the head, killing him instantly with a single blow. Finn was now a fugitive, wanted for murder. He had no choice but to flee the country, leaving behind his daughter and the life he once knew. His life had been destroyed by Angela's lies and manipulations, and now he was paying the ultimate price for her lies and manipulations. Finn's world had come crashing down around him. His wife, whom he thought he knew and loved, had been leading a secret life filled with lies and deceit. As he boarded the plane to start his new life as a fugitive, he couldn't help but wonder, how could it be? Finn couldn't believe his eyes when he saw her at the airport. The woman walking towards him had the same striking features as his wife, Angela. His heart skipped a beat, and he couldn't shake off the feeling of familiarity. Who was she? How could she look exactly like his deceased wife? Finn's mind was racing as he approached the woman. He couldn't resist the urge to find out more about her. As he got closer, he noticed that she was wearing the same perfume as Angela. A deep breath was taken, and he mustered up the courage to speak to her for the first time. "Excuse me," Miss Finn said, his voice trembling with emotion. "I couldn't help but notice that you look exactly like someone I used to know." The woman's face remained blank, but her eyes showed a hint of recognition. "And who might that be?" she asked, her voice cold and distant. Finn's heart sank as he remembered the day his wife died. It was a tragic accident, and he had never been able to get over her death. And now, this woman standing in front of him, with the same face and voice as Angela, was bringing back all those painful memories. As they spoke, Finn couldn't help but notice that the woman's voice sounded exactly like Angela's. It was as if she had come back from the dead. He couldn't believe his luck. There is no doubt that this was a sign that he was meant to move on and start a new chapter of his life. Finn's mind was filled with questions. Who was this woman? How did she know his wife? Was she a long-lost twin? He needed answers, but he was afraid to ask. Having opened old wounds in the past and risked losing his sanity, he didn't want to do it anymore. In the midst of an awkward silence, the woman finally spoke up. "My name is Guinevere," she said. "I know your wife." Finn's heart skipped a beat as he heard the words. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. Guinevere? It was the first time he had heard Angela mention someone by that name. As they talked, Finn couldn't help but notice that Guinevere had the same mannerisms as Angela. She even laughed the same way and had the same quirky habits. It was as if she was a carbon copy of his wife. This couldn't be a coincidence. There had to be more to this story. As they continued to talk, Finn couldn't deny the strange connection he was feeling towards Guinevere. It was as if they had known each other for years. He couldn't explain it, but he found himself drawn to her. Maybe it was because she reminded him so much of his wife. After a few hours of talking, Guinevere finally opened up to Finn. She revealed that she had been friends with Angela in college and they had kept in touch over the years. Nevertheless, there was something else she needed to tell him that was going to change everything for her. "You see, Finn," Guinevere began, "I know who you are because Angela told me all about you. She even showed me pictures of you and your life together. I know about the accident and how much you loved her." Finn's heart was racing. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. "But why didn't she ever mention you?" Finn asked, his voice filled with hurt. "Why didn't she tell me about her friend from college?" Guinevere's face fell as she spoke. "Because I was more than just a friend, Finn. Her secret lover was me, and I was the only one who knew about it." Finn felt like the ground had opened up beneath him. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. His wife, whom he thought he knew so well, had been leading a secret life. All those business trips she took, all those late nights at the office, it was all a lie. Guinevere explained that she and Angela had rekindled their relationship a few years ago. They had fallen deeply in love, But Angela was afraid to come out and tell Finn the truth. The feeling that she had for Guinevere was too strong for her to deny, but she couldn't deny the feeling she had for him. Finn was in shock. He couldn't believe that the woman he had loved and trusted had been living a lie. But at the same time, he couldn't deny the feelings he had for Guinevere. Maybe this was his chance to start a new life, with someone who truly understood and accepted him. As Finn said goodbye to Guinevere, he couldn't help but feel a sense of relief. He was finally free from the web of lies and deceit that had consumed his marriage. And although he would never forget Angela, he knew that he was ready to move on and start a new chapter in his life. In the months that followed, Finn and Guinevere grew closer. They found comfort in each other's company and slowly fell in love. Finn couldn't deny the irony. The woman who looked exactly like his deceased wife had become the true love of his life all of a sudden, out of nowhere. As they stood at the altar, ready to exchange their vows, Finn couldn't help but think back to the day he met Guinevere at the airport. He had never imagined that a chance encounter would lead him to this moment, where he was about to start a new life with the woman who had become his everything. As they danced under the stars on their wedding night, Finn couldn't help but think back to the day he first saw Guinevere. He had never imagined that a simple encounter would lead him to this moment. It was a question that would always linger in his mind: how could it be? Finn may never know the answer to that question, but he was grateful for the strange twist of fate that had brought Guinevere into his life. It was a love story that would always be shrouded in mystery, but to Finn, it was a love story that was meant to be.